What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about shaving pussies. What? I have not done a YouTube Q&A in probably 2 years, legitimately 2 years, and I stood here for like 15 minutes thinking about the weight of answering about 50 questions and how to intro the video, and that's what I came up with. So if it offends you, I am not sorry. Shout out to Mama DeCosta. It is her birthday today. Mom, if you're watching this, I doubt you are watching this. I actually don't know if my mom watches my YouTube channel. That's interesting. I know my grandparents do. Her parents do. Anyways, I asked on Instagram on Friday, or solicited questions rather, and we're going to get into those questions here. I've split it into 3 different parts. We're going to try to keep this video under 25 minutes, so about 30 seconds per question. The sections are training first, then we're going to get into nutrition / supplementation. And I did open it up to personal questions, and at the end we'll do some personal questions. Why not? I've cut out the craziness, and I've kind of distilled it down to the good ones without too much overlap. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. This is in no particular order. I've kind of just sorted it. So first question, at what body fat percentage are your quad muscles visible? This is going to be highly dependent per individual. I think I just said the same thing twice. So same thing with your abdominals or any other muscle in your body. Generally, around 10% body fat for men. For women, it will be more around 16%. Again, this will vary. Some guys won't be able to see their abs, unfortunately, down to about maybe 8% body fat. Some guys can see their abs at like 15% body fat. It is based on your genetic structure, and a common misconception is that we can decide where our body's going to pull from fat stores when we are eating in a caloric deficit. We're eating less food than our body wants. Our body raises its hand and is like, hey, we're not getting enough food, so we're going to start to eat this body so we can live. And from that point, your body's going to do its thing and decide, hey, cats, man. Your body's going to decide where it's going to pull from fat stores. So some guys' quads will get leaner at an earlier stage in their fat loss process than another guy. So perhaps individual 1 will start to see striations in his quads and his legs will start to get super lean, but he's still got lower back fat hanging out. He's still not really able to see his abs too much. Frustrating. Guy number 2, he can, be shredded to the bone, like see obliques, like see his Christmas tree in his back, like super lean, but his legs like are still not that lean. And the only solution to that is like, sorry, bro, you've got to continue to lose fat and diet. I hope that makes sense. Next question, do you do home workouts? When COVID started back in, we have been in a time warp, but I'll table that. Yeah, once we started quarantine in March of 2020, I did do home workouts for like 3 months. 2 months until my gym, the gym that I went to, I'm not going there anymore, but the gym in Los Angeles I went to opened up and I stopped doing them. Home workouts 100% have utility. You can see amazing results doing home workouts. I think as you get to a higher level of elite, you're going to want to get some home equipment like a rack where you can squat and bench press. But I think you guys would be surprised with how little equipment. How is that the right verbiage? I'm tripping. Yes, you don't need much equipment to create astonishing results, even at the highest levels. I think with the social media-ification of fitness and every other thing in the world, the last 5 years, we've tried to like reinvent the wheel just in the name of having new and novel, exciting things, because such is the human species, but we don't need it. We don't need it. When I see Instagram influencers doing all these crazy workouts, I want to literally blow my brains out. It's just the truth, man. Okay, next question. How can we grow our biceps? My friend, like any other muscle group, increase training volume throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year. Smaller muscle groups can withstand higher frequency versus the glute muscles, our biggest muscle group in our body. We can't hammer our glutes every single day because the sheer amount of volume, the sheer amount of weight we need to lift, volume and weight are not synonymous, but we have to lift way more for bigger body parts like our lats, our chest, but not the case with biceps, triceps, calves, forearms. We can hit those potentially, 5-6 days a week. Now, we can't hammer them, beat them to a pulp 5-6 days a week, but you can increase training frequency and get away with it relatively unscathed with biceps and smaller muscle groups. So what I would do, man, is just add bicep sets to the end of 3 or 4 of your workouts throughout the week, even if it's a leg day or even if it's a push day. It's about stimulus, right? We need to provide more stimulus to that muscle so our body knows, okay, we're using this more. We need it to perform better in the future. Let's make it bigger and more robust, more able to withstand stress. Okay, so it's really just doing more. Next question, bro split versus back bicep, chest, tricep versus push-pull legs. I'm not really sure what that center one is. Back bicep, chest, tris. Is that skipping legs? I'm just going to answer bro split versus push-pull legs. This is a fun debate. At the end of the day, guys, it's about your training volume and the intensity that you bring to your workouts on the training side, and that you are not being an idiot with nutrition and all the other essentials, sleep, hydration, de-stressing. But I would say generally a building phase will call for higher frequency. So a push-pull leg split would be more ideal, and a bro split, I don't even know if this is the right language, but you can do a bro split or push-pull legs whether you're cutting or gaining. I guess you really didn't stipulate anything in this question specifically, but push-pull legs generally for building, and you can do that 3 times a week, right? Or 6 times per week, push-pull legs, or legs push-pull. Bro split, for those who don't know, it would just be chest, tricep, back bicep, legs, shoulder day, and then, what am I missing? Am I losing my shit? Did I say shoulders? Legs, chest, tricep, back bicep, arms. You do arms on day 5, and then your 6th day can be you can either have it be an off day if you want to train 5 days a week, or it can be a weak point day, or it can be a full body workout. I've done that. Man, when I would consider myself an intermediate lifter getting into advanced, I was all about the bro split 5 days a week, what I just said, with a 6th full body day. I beat that thing to a pulp, and I saw amazing results with it. In mini cuts, in gaining phases, I just stuck that baby out, and it was freaking awesome. Lately, I've been doing, the last couple of years, it's been more so on the higher frequency side. Let's get into the next question. Dude, we're going to blow through this time. No, I'm going to speed this up. Let's go. What's more important, how many hours you sleep at night or the quality of your sleep? Both. I'd say the one that could vary, the one that varies is how many hours you can sleep. Everything that I've seen from sleep scientists, doctors, it's kind of BS that you can sleep less than 6 hours a night consistently and be a healthy individual that is able to perform with high cognitive capacity, perform in the gym, deal with stress. This is an easy punching bag here, but like the Gary Vaynerchuk mentality of like no sleep, no days off. If you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to grow a business, it's very tough. I understand sometimes you do have to slack on sleep, but let's not mess around and act like it's not unhealthy and unsustainable over a mid to long period of time. You have to prioritize your sleep, especially if you're serious about maintaining a low body fat percentage and gaining muscle. 6 to 9 hours is really the range. For me personally, 7.5 to 8.5, I fall within that range, and I know that I'm A-okay. Anything below that, this prefrontal cortex doesn't want to work. It doesn't want to think hard. I'll just catch myself defaulting to like easy tasks. I can get distracted easier. I'm more forgetful. If you want to track quality of sleep, because obviously like we're sleeping, it's impossible to like tell really. You can use something like the Oura Ring. I think maybe the Whoop strap. People can sound off in the comment section. There's plenty of, I use the Oura Ring. I've used it for 2 years. It's phenomenal. They're dumb and they don't do affiliate deals. You guys need to start doing that if you're watching. If anyone watches this channel anymore. All right, next question. Training, I'm having some shoulder pain lately. How do you warm up your shoulders before you start? I will go ahead and let it play on the screen. I'll also link it in the description. It's on my Instagram. my shoulder warm up. Anytime I warm up my shoulders for every single workout with a band. Shoulders are paramount in more or less all exercises, and I'd say they are up there on the likelihood of sustaining an injury, just with this ball and sock joint and our rotator cuff. And yeah, I mean, if you've lifted for like 2 minutes, you've probably met someone who's had a shoulder issue. My brother's torn a rotator cuff multiple times. My dad has, so I've been quite weary of that, and fingers crossed have not sustained that injury. How do we get stronger and flexible at the same time? So anytime we are trying to do something at the same time, it's going to be not as efficient as it could be, right? If we just had one goal, get stronger, we're going to be more effective at conquering that in a shorter time span. Same thing with flexible. So my question would be, why does it need to be at the same time? I think it's better to go gung-ho on one specific thing and then attack the next thing when it comes. But this will be obviously resistance training to get stronger. And then flexibility, you can be doing mobility specifics in a gym setting. You can even be doing some higher intensity yoga. Will be extremely helpful with flexibility. If these are two serious goals, I would keep top of mind your recovery and not overdoing it. Because if we're trying to attack two things that are like cousins to each other, they're in the same like family of performance, but different, you might have a tendency to overdo it. Didn't really explain an answer, but like, why do you need to? Next question. I do my workouts and it states 45 minutes, but I tend to finish at 25 minutes. I would assume this is chill out. Hey. These kittens, bro. Lift until failure. Is it bad? I'm saying right now, guys, we're going to blow through this time. I'm sorry, but this is like a big red flag for me. I don't care how amazing your aerobic capacity is and your cardiovascular ability. You are not going to be able to complete a sufficient, well, let me backpedal a second. It depends what your goal is and what style of training that you're doing, but around these parts, we like bodybuilding and we like maintaining a lot of muscle mass with a low body fat percentage. Not these like Tabata style training dudes who think they have a lot of muscle mass, but you just don't, bro. Sorry. If that's you, then you can probably, maybe you're just freaking next level with your aerobic capacity and ability to recover. Your body knows what to do with the oxygen when it takes it in. But the big red flag for me here is you're not pushing the intensity high enough with the weights. It could be you're not going high enough. Well, yeah, I would increase the weight, and I would increase I don't think you're just doing enough training volume, period. And training volume is sets times reps times weight. What's baked in there is not exercises per se. You can add up the training volume for one exercise though, bench press, 3 sets of 10, 3 times 10 times the weight that you used. That's the training volume you had for one workout of bench press. And then you can do that for every exercise in a specific workout and get your total volume for the workout. I would say you need to increase the total volume of your workout. And the easiest way to do that here, I would say, is introduce an additional 2 to 3 exercises. Guys, of course, like this goes without saying, this is all general advice. I'm like guessing and inferring using my best guess based on the question, trying to tailor it to like a wide subset of an audience, trying to like give enough information that it will satisfy the needs of an advanced lifter who's watching, but also like not speak so deep. I'm not like a PhD in this stuff by any means, but like that like a beginner doesn't understand it. So understand what I'm trying to like balance here. I don't think you're doing enough. I'll leave it at that. Best way to get volume on the calves. Same thing as I said about biceps. You just gotta, and it's a smaller muscle group too, just add additional calf sets, couple calf exercises 2 or 3 times a week. and you'll see those babies grow. Not that I would know, mine suck. Is it okay to ditch the barbell for deadlift? 100p. Yes. If yes, what's the best alternative? I think, well, first off, picking something up that is heavy is an amazing way to tax your body and cue your body into the idea that it needs to maintain more muscle mass to be able to pick up things in the future. Because picking up heavy shit is really hard. I would use the hex bar. Hopefully your gym has a hex bar. But that neutral grip I think is a bit more natural for us, especially if you have low back issues, if you're a taller individual as well, because the bar, instead of being in front of us, we have the luxury of having the weight be right at more or less our center line, the line that goes down the side of our body. So it will be a more, I guess, well-rounded per se amount of tension on the muscles involved in deadlift. As the bar gets further in front of us, the muscles in front of us will work more. As the bar gets further behind our center line, the muscles behind us will work more. An example of this is high bar squat. We'll have more quad involved. Most often we'll be a little weaker with high bar squat versus low bar squat, where the bar is sitting a bit lower, like resting on the rear delts, and it'll engage a bit more of the glutes and hamstrings, and we're a bit more powerful there. Just want to give that general idea. Of course, with a hex bar, you'll be right about the center. Next question. Hi, can you show good exercises for abs? I think anyone who even has like a beginner idea of fitness will know effective exercises for abs. I'm not trying to insult anyone's intelligence here. I'll say the thing that's true that is not highlighted as often as I think it should be, and that your core is going to strengthen immensely if you're doing very difficult compound movements like deadlifts, squat, bench press, overhead press. And it's a nutrition play as well, all right? You can have the strongest core in the freaking world. The abs can be so freaking like blocky and defined, but under a layer of fat because your body fat percentage is too high, and you're gonna have to diet by eating in a caloric deficit to be able to reveal those amazing freaking abs. So it's a nutrition play. And of course, I'm not saying here that ab exercises are not gonna help you at all. They will help define your abs further. But I shared this on Instagram the other day. I don't really do ab exercises, like rarely. I'll do one ab exercise usually like once a week. But I don't eat like an a-hole. I'm blessed to genetically have a lower than average body fat set point. I also think that, we can topic for other discussion, but the fact that I grew up always being extremely active, playing soccer, running cross country, running track, I've never not been active. I can get away with like seeing abs, I guess, more often than the average dude. Next question is, any direct forearm work necessary, or will deadlifts and pulling movements be enough? I think this will depend. On how quickly your forearms grow. Everyone I think will have a weak point body part that just, doesn't grow as fast as others. For me personally, it's chest. I find, especially with chest and back, a guy that has a very impressive chest will have some frustration with his back. Perhaps his lats, his upper back, his traps won't grow as fast. And then vice versa. For me, my back, I get compliments on my back a lot. I think of my muscle groups, my back is probably the strongest. Comparing pushing like shoulders, chest versus legs versus back, I think my back is the strongest, but I get frustrated with chest. So you can't have I think even the genetic elite of genetic elite, like you can't have absolutely astonishing, maybe someone can sound off in the comment section if there is someone, amazing everything. You can probably work to have amazing everything, like freaking Ronnie Coleman, but you've got to be like the elite of the elite. I say all that to say, man, I love to talk a lot and then not answer the freaking question. If your forearms do not grow fast, or you're just frustrated, like you're looking in the mirror and you're like, man, and you're like pretty certain that you're not just like giving into like some body dysmorphia, which is like, it's impossible for someone to tell if they are, but like unless you can realistically say you don't want some disproportionately big forearms, you just want to have like forearms that match your upper arm, then doing deadlifts and other exercises like shrugs, farmer's carries that require grip will be enough. But if they are lagging, you can do additional direct forearm work. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hope that makes sense. Whew. Next question. This is not regarding resistance training. No muscle, what do I recommend for a beginner running program to increase mile? I didn't know what that word jumble was for a second, but to increase your mile. So someone wants to improve their mile running time. Brief personal background. I grew up a runner. I was a soccer player. Soccer players run a crap ton. And then in middle school, I ran track and cross country. In high school, I ran track and cross country my junior and senior year. And shout out to middle school. I always won the mile in middle school. I think my best was like 5:20. And then the fastest I've ran a mile, I want to say it's in between 5 and 5:10. I've had a pretty fast mile. This would be at 17 or 18. I've got a 17-minute flat 5K. I was pretty big in running. I was running like 60 to 80 miles a week. So I still like to run occasionally just for enjoyment, not because I want to like maintain a low body fat percentage. I just love like the meditative experience of running. It helps me like think, sort through problems. I always feel better after I run, mentally as well as physically. But let's answer this question. I'd say, just first thing is generally build up your aerobic capacity by running more. Let's just take the mile as the goal. I'd say 30 to 50 miles a week is a general good range. If you want to get better at something that's a longer distance, like the 2-mile run or a 5K, or even like, a 10K, half marathon, you'll have to increase your mileage. I wouldn't, like, elite runners are probably banking like 100, 120 miles a week. I wouldn't assume we already ran over our time. That's freaking hilarious, bro. I wouldn't assume you're asking me that question because you're super elite. So 30 to 50 miles. And then what's going to be comprised? What are those 30 to 50 miles going to be made up of? 3 different things: low intensity training, moderate intensity, high intensity. The lower intensity can be like generally 5 to 8 mile run, jog, where you can like have a conversation with a running buddy if you're running with them. You're working, but not super hard. And you'll want to have, 1 or 2 of those runs a week. Next will be a moderate intensity run where, like maybe 4 to 6 miles where you can't really talk. You're pushing it, higher intensity, really testing that aerobic capacity. And then what's going to be super beneficial here is also higher intensity training like tempo runs. A popular one would be doing an 8x400. So run a 400 meter or 1 lap around the track. For those who aren't familiar with the track, that's a quarter mile. 4 laps around the track is 1 mile. That's the 1600. 8 400s, having a rest in between, 1 minute to 2 minutes. 90 seconds is usually where I would do our tempo runs. And the idea would be to do the tempo runs at the pace or perhaps even a little faster than 1 lap around the track while you're running your mile. So quickly, let's say you want to run a 5-minute mile. Let's break down what that would be per lap. That would be a minute and 15 seconds. That'd be 75 seconds to run a 5-minute mile. So you would like to run, I'd say 70 second to 75 second, 400 meters tempo runs, 8 of them. So it's 2 miles total. And then last thing quickly, generally is just improve based on the mile time that you'd like to run. Improve your 400 meter, period. You can do that with the tempo runs also, and improve your 800 meter, right? If you want to run a 5-minute mile, but it's very hard for you to run a 2 minute and 30 second 800, then your likelihood of running 5-minute miles is pretty low. So if your goal is to run a 5-minute mile, an 800 or half a mile, you'd want to be, getting at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Last quick thing is don't get injured. Less isn't always more work, obviously. usually has diminishing returns. Okay, so don't overdo it. Recovery is important, sleep's important. Next question is chest one of the harder muscle groups to gain in size? I lack in chest gains. I kind of highlighted this earlier. It depends on where you're genetically blessed to gain muscle. And it sounds like you are not the guy with the chest. Perhaps your legs do though, or your back. I would increase chest volume. And just, especially for a muscle group that you're looking to grow, you know, especially as you become more advanced, you know, you've been training 5+ years, you know what you're doing in the gym, you can get a bit more hyper-focused on a weak point that you would like to improve, like chest. You know, be sure you're crushing those chest sessions. Be sure that the night before you're getting good sleep. Be sure that you're getting a solid pre-workout meal. Be sure that, you know, if you like taking a pre-workout or getting some caffeine or other, you know, pre-workout supplementation, that, you know, make sure you're firing on all cylinders so you can show up at your best for those push sessions. About breathing while training. For sake of time, I'm going to post in the description of this video a link to an Instagram post that I have talking about breathing, and I'm showing you myself. I'll put a little over of the video on the screen, but it's myself in the gym giving an example with bench press, talking about breathing. But breathing is super important, especially as the intensity starts to rise. You know, ask any power lifter how important breathing is. It's everything, guys. Even as a bodybuilder or recreational trainer, it's important too. Next question, what do you do for your joints and flexibility? Supplementation wise, quickly, I know that's the next section, but I'll do Core Flex. So Core Nutritionals is a company I'm lucky to be sponsored by. Best supplement company out there in my opinion. Created by very smart natural bodybuilders, sponsors natural bodybuilders, the elite of the elite. And, you know, I can go on for days about why Core is freaking awesome, but I take Core Flex. That is their joint support supplement. It is far superior. I think it might be their most popular product, actually. It's far superior to just your average run-of-the-mill, like pop into GNC and get a joint support supplement. Glucosamine chondroitin is something that you can buy. That is also in Core Flex, but glucosamine chondroitin for supplementation. And then also baked in there with joints is I lift intelligently and not beyond my means. I don't lift with super high intensity like every day. So if you're following an intelligent training program and recovering, hydrating, all these things, like your joints should be fine. This is all general advice, guys. Flexibility, I, full transparency, don't really do that much for flexibility. I'm not gonna lie. And actually my hips are often pretty tight, and that's something I should incorporate. I'm not even gonna lie. And the easiest way for me to do it versus relying on sheer willpower is I like taking a yoga class. Now I'm blessed to live in Los Angeles where like, I think there's like a yoga joint on like every freaking city block. I'm not even gonna lie. But I mean, I'd say most towns these days will have a place to do yoga. This is just my personal way where I like to improve flexibility. I can kind of like just tune the brain out. I mean, it still requires discipline to like get there, but once I'm in there, I kind of just do what I'm supposed to do. I'm someone who likes to like not look like an idiot. So I will not want to like perform badly if I'm in a class with other people. And that's like a convenient way for me personally to improve flexibility. There ain't no way I'm popping in like a freaking, like pulling up a YouTube video at home and working on flexibility. Dude, I'd rather do anything than do that. It just sounds horrendous to me personally. So is sumo good or bad? Why is sumo good or bad? I'm kind of funny, man. I remember weird things. I don't know your name, but I think you messaged me in response to a story I posted. I posted a story giving a slight at sumo deadlifting, just saying that like it's the fake version of deadlifting. Anyone who disagrees with this is a sumo lifter. You know, that's just like an easy, like low blow running joke in fitness, I think. I don't think that sumo deadlifting is fake deadlifting. It is still very difficult. If it's not difficult for you, you're not lifting enough weight. It's just different. And the idea is because your feet are wider, kind of looks funny. You're getting more or less, you're saving the length of your upper leg for the bar being far out in front of you, right? So a standard deadlift, conventional, your legs are facing forward. So you've got to pull the bar up and the bar is going to travel further out in front of you further out in front of you. But with sumo, because we are angling our legs out, we are able to keep the bar closer to our center line. And we're often able to lift more with a sumo deadlift than a conventional deadlift. And especially for someone who has long lower legs, taller individuals, I'm sure you guys can sound off. You guys have experienced the misfortune of conventional normal deadlifting too much, and you may have found some solace in sumo deadlifting, or like I said earlier, using a hex bar. So sumo is not bad. It's just based on personal preference. Even if you are a person who isn't super tall and has super long legs, maybe you are looking to get into powerlifting and you just want to maximize deadlift, period. Deadlift, the movement that is comprised of sumo and conventional, that will give you green lights in a powerlifting meet. Go ahead and do sumo. Shout out to my buddy, George Rosado, who I think that's the person I did my last YouTube Q&A with. George, if you're watching this, you need to post more content, bro. Post more content. George is insanely strong. It's ridiculous. He is my height or maybe a little bit shorter, 5'7" or 5'8". And sumo deadlifts, can deadlift a freaking truck, man. How long do you work out a day in the gym? My sessions will take 90 minutes to 2 hours. And sometimes we'll go longer, but that's just because I'm literally like wasting time. I am blessed to be in a position where like filming content is an important part of my day that is tied to what I do for a living. So I do budget more time for it, and I have the luxury to be able to do that also because I work for myself. But 90 minutes to 2 hours if I'm being on top of it. And also, like, this is a personal question for me. Not everyone is in my fortunate position where I can work for myself. I'm an online trainer. I have the amount of training experience I do with the schedule flexibility that I do. But even with all that said, it's not like I'm in the gym for like 3-4 hours. I swear to God, some gyms that I'll go to here in LA, there'll be powerlifters, especially zoo culture. And I'm not giving any slight to powerlifters at zoo culture. They're strong ass dudes, but I feel like some of them are in the gym for like 3 to 4 hours. And I personally, if I'm ever tipping 3 hours in the gym, I'm getting so like stir crazy. Like I need to get the frick out of here, man. But yeah, I'm more of like a get out type guy, like get the freaking workout. I often end up talking more than I would like to, but majority of the time I just want to get the workout in. Let's freaking go, man. We're at the gym to crush it. We're not at the gym to just like have social hour. Just strain my back doing deadlifts, recommendations for how to heal. I rolled into that next question very quickly. So I can't give you really any advice here, my man. If you're being honest with yourself, look in the mirror. Do you feel that it's serious? I would say default at minimum, you're going to need a week of not deadlifting or really putting any strain on your mid lower back or really doing any back movements. Perhaps you can get away with doing some lat pull down, some vertical pull movements, other pull movements like biceps. But after a week, if you're still feeling it, then I would go get it looked at by a PT, get it looked at by a trainer in person or a chiropractor or all the above. Have a professional see you in person. Next question. And I'm serious about that. So many people don't, and it's to their detriment. I can't tell you, and like, this is something that is extremely fundamental, core to my being, that I hold in such high regard and importance. I'm not always perfect with it, but I so badly do not want to get injured. It's the worst thing. Pushing beyond a certain point where you snap something up and you have to take time off. I've not been there. I'm super blessed. Worst thing I've done is like a lower back thing related to soccer when I was younger. But since then, I've been super blessed not to. And that it's intentional. It's not just by luck. Like I am intentional not to push beyond my means and select a weight that I think is questionable. If I select a weight, I know I will be able to get it. Like with a very high probability, I know I'll be able to get it. The idea of being someone who talked about the good old days when I used to be in shape is so utterly depressing to me. Like, so utterly depressing that, if at all possible, I want to avoid injury. Guys, if you are injured, get it looked at, do what you need to do before it gets worse. I'm being serious. Next question. So we're getting into nutrition now. Woo! This is like 40 freaking minutes later. How many grams of carbs do you need to eat daily when getting shredded? Highly individual based, but I'll say less than what you have to maintain. Not trying to insult intelligence, but the amount of carbs will be less than the amount for you to just maintain your normal body weight. What should I eat before and after the workout? So a nice pre-workout meal it can be a well-balanced meal, like a lean protein source, a starchy carbohydrate source, and you don't really have to have necessarily any fibrous carbohydrates, which will be like vegetables, but something that's faster digesting, easier on the system, white rice, dextrose powder. You can do even like higher carb candy, sugar. I like doing Rice Krispies. Like, my brain is starting to turn off, guys. I really like Rice Krispies as a pre-workout meal. I'll usually work out at I have like 2 windows. I'll either do in the morning at 8 a.m. or in the afternoon at 3 p.m. or later. And in the morning, I'll usually train fasted. I'll have had a bigger meal the night before, higher carb meal, more calories. If I train in the afternoon, I already have a meal or two down. And by that point, I'm usually been very focused throughout the day, and I'll have those couple meals under my belt, and I'll have like a couple Rice Krispies. I'll have like 60 to 100 carbs to fuel the workout. Next question, best post-workout meal you have. Shouts to Core Post. This guy saves me, especially when I'm in a time crunch. It tastes freaking amazing. Core Post has been super popular. In terms of meal, I'll just have another like well-rounded meal. A company that I work with is called Done For You Meals. I'll have them linked in the description, but I'll order meals from them. I pay for them, and they have a lean protein source, kind of like what I briefly highlighted earlier. Lean protein source, starchy carbohydrate source, fibrous carbohydrate source, and the idea here, guys, is to get calories in. Your body at this point is asking you for nutrients to help you recover, rebuild, and you need it all. You need carbohydrates, fats, protein, of course, get those aminos. So hope you found that helpful. Core MRP as well. We're going to be doing a Core MRP giveaway, MRP, which stands for meal replacement. Can also be helpful. I'll be doing that giveaway of MRP this week on the IGs. Next question, do you bulk and shred simultaneously or separately? If separately, how long each? I will do separately. And for the sake of time again, I'll give general advice here. A bulking phase can be anywhere from, I really wouldn't want it to be any less than 3 months, ideally 6 months, and it can even be up to a couple years. So the ideal range, and this goes for both, the ideal range is, actually cutting can be a little bit shorter, but generally for bulking and cutting, you'd like your phase to be 6 months to 2 years. And if you're cutting, you can do a cut in 3 to 4 months. I just think just the way, and this is for natural athletes. I'm not speaking to guys who are on gear, nothing against them, but I'm just speaking from personal experience here and what I care to educate myself on. You're not, as a natural athlete, going to be able to gain that much muscle just by doing a 3 month or anything less than a 6 month bulk. You need time. You need time to gain just sheer weight. You're going to have to gain fat while you're gaining muscle. It's unavoidable. You're going to have to eat in a caloric surplus, increasing your training volume, increasing the intensity, perhaps hitting some PRs throughout your building phase. You need time to do it, guys. Anything less than 6 months is really just, it's not enough time. I want to bulk. Please tell me how to bulk in a month. It's a dumb question, my man. I'm sorry. It's not a dumb question. There is no dumb question. But in the context of what I just said, this is a horribly placed question. That's why I blur out names. I'm not a mean person, I swear. How frequently shall we eat to feed our muscles best? This has been disproven a long time ago, I believe. Meal frequency is just overhyped. It's just something that people like to focus on. Did you like that? Like to focus on. People just like to focus on a lot of retarded things. Sorry for using that word as well. You can eat literally one meal a day if you would like to. There's been very successful, impressive physiques who eat one meal a day, or you can do 2 meals a day. When it comes to building muscle and losing fat, maintaining a healthy body composition, it's whatever is sustainable for you and that you are going to enjoy. Your body will acquiesce to your demands that you place on it by making a decision with your brain. Your body will adjust to it to a point, okay? Your body's not just gonna like it if you're eating every 10 days, one time, okay? But like, if you wanna eat one meal a day, it'll be an adjustment period in your body, you'll get used to it. And then I just think based on schedules and how it will fit into your life, I don't see much utility in eating more than 6 meals a day. Who the F has time to be like a relatively normal human being and eat more than 6 meals a day? I don't really know anyone. From an energy perspective, again, I think so I just answered the question for just pure muscle and maintaining a low body fat percentage. When it comes to cognitive capacity and being able to perform, just have energy, not even performance, but energy throughout the day, think clearly. Generally, I think a higher meal frequency might be a little better. I'm not saying 6 meals a day, but eating just an average amount, guys, not even overthinking this, like 3 to 4 times a day. And something that I've done for a long time, and I swear I'm going to be quick here, but it's kind of cool. A guy I listen to and really look up to, Dr. Andrew Huberman, who's a neuroscientist at Stanford. I'm sure many of you guys know who Dr. Andrew Huberman is, has an amazing podcast, posts the videos on YouTube. He's really been blowing up this last year. He eats the same way that I have for a long time, and it was cool to hear that he stands by it. Is he will usually fast in the morning for 3 to 4 hours, 2 to 4 hours, not eat anything. And that's where like a lot of clear thinking can get done. And then his meals will get bigger gradually as the day goes on. And the first meal that breaks the fast will be around lunchtime, and it'll be primarily higher in protein and fats, lower in carbohydrates. I think he might said his is completely devoid of carbohydrates. Mine personally is not. I'll have some starchy carbohydrates for lunch, like white rice or potato. And then basically, my biggest meal is at the end of the day. The majority of my calories consumed are once my like hard thinking is done for the day. And I'm sure anyone can kind of agree. Like when I used to be an accountant, I used to do this all the time. I was an idiot. I would like go out to lunch with my coworkers or just by myself, and I would get like a freaking huge meatball hoagie with all this bread, and I would just like get back to the office for the afternoon and be tapped. Like, I cannot think. I don't want to do anything. I feel gross. Like the 2 to 3 p.m. feeling, the worst. So just think of that. Think of simple carbohydrates getting your body in the middle of the day, spiking your blood glucose, and then tanking you, and you just get lethargic and low energy. That's what carbohydrates can do, especially if you're going to consume a ton of them that digest fast, and you're just going to be sitting there doing nothing. No bueno for thinking. Can we follow carb cycling diet all over for the full year and still get muscle mass? I don't even know what I said, or even if this question makes sense, but I like understand the vibe of what he's saying here. Carb cycling year round and still gain muscle? Yes. Yes. And guys, quickly, carb cycling is just throughout the week, each day, adjusting the amount of carbohydrates that you take in. And this is a great way, especially to stay satisfied and deal with hunger pangs and whatnot when you are dieting. And also it can kind of cue your body into using carbohydrates in the way that you would like your body to use carbohydrates, and be more efficient at using them, especially when you have a higher carbohydrate day after you've had a lower carbohydrate day. You get that hit of higher carbohydrates and your body's like, whew, let's go to work. Let's have an epic workout. Let's help these muscles recover, versus just having the same amount of carbohydrates every single day. Now, the average carbohydrates for the week can still be, for example, 300. You've just been varying 250 one day, 350 another day. But just based on the way we split them out, we can have some helpful effects there. Is it possible to build muscle in a caloric deficit? Yes, I believe so. I believe this is like a new finding. I can't highlight the study specifically, but it used to be believed that you cannot, but I believe for beginners who have not provided any stimulus really to their musculature via resistance training, completely untrained, you can be dieting in a caloric deficit and gain muscle at the same time. However, this is really out the window as you start to become a more advanced lifter. How do you find out what your maintenance calories are? Best way to do it is just to track the food that you eat for a week to 2 weeks, ideally 2 weeks. Eat how you normally do. And don't let the fact that you're tracking affect any way that you eat. Just, if you have this ice cream at night, have the ice cream at night, whatever. Eat the same exact way, and then just take an average. You can track your calories with MyFitnessPal or MyMacros Plus. Super easy to do. Just take an average. And if you've just eaten until satisfied, you've not been in a phase of like abnormally overeating or undereating for any reason, you can rely on that as credible data that that's your maintenance. Okay. So the answer is an average of the amount of calories you've had for the prior 2 weeks. This requires you to track and do a little bit of work, but it's the best way to figure it out. Any one product to gain muscle and stamina, I would assume that is creatine monohydrate, 5 grams a day, every single day for the rest of your life, baby. How much protein can your body absorb at one time? I remember like 3-4 years ago, it was going around that like it's 40 to 50 grams or something like that. I believe this has been disproven from what I have seen from the experts that I pay attention to the most. This is like, I think you're just like reaching here for some secret, not to like put this person on blast if you know you're the person who asked this, but just like get enough protein for the day. And that is enough. And, you know, we gotta think for a second how things fit into the context of our actual life, how it's going to split out. If I say you can take in an infinite amount of protein at one time and your body will use all of it, are you really one time per day going to take in 250 grams of protein? Do you know how fucking much protein that is? What I'm saying here is like, regardless, we're still going to split up protein intake throughout the day in a specific way. Most of us eat 3 to 4 meals a day or 5 to 6 meals a day. So unless you're going out of your way for specific meals to like intentionally avoid protein, don't do that. You don't have to think about this at all. Like just don't think about it. And if you're 200 pounds, you want to take in at least 200 grams of protein, ideally 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. You're good to go. Set it and forget it. Next question, ideal surplus for gaining muscle without adding fat. I think my man asked multiple questions here. Yes. Ideal caloric surplus for gaining muscle without adding fat. For men, it's say 300 to 500 calories. This is general. If you're a hard gainer, you can be in a higher caloric surplus. So whatever your maintenance is that we just discussed earlier, you've tracked your calories for 2 weeks, you figured out what your maintenance is. Let's say your maintenance is 3,000, you're a hard gainer and you've been eating 3,000 calories per day consistently. To gain muscle without adding fat as a hard gainer, you might be able to take in 4,000 calories per day. Whereas someone who like looks at bread and they feel like they gain weight, your surplus will likely have to be less. So again, if your average is 3,000 calories per day, you can probably get away with 3,300, maybe 3,400, but not much higher than that. So that would be an additional 300 to 400 calories per day. If you're a man, and if you're a hard gainer, it can be higher. This is going to be the same thing on the inverse side for losing fat. I take that back. Not when it comes to hard gainers. Like we don't ever want, I take that back completely. We don't ever want to be in 1,000 calorie deficit. So whereas what I just said on a bulking phase, you can be in 1,000 calories over your maintenance. When we're dieting, we don't want to be dipping that low. It can throw off our hormones. It can make it much more likely for us to just like go into a period of binge eating. And it's just not ideal for energy. There's a whole laundry list of like bad things that happen when we're eating too far into a caloric deficit. Trust me, I struggled with bulimia badly for 5 years throughout college. I have a couple of YouTube videos on it if you guys want to look for those, but like it's no joke what trying to eat too little calories can do to your body. This is a fitness channel, so I know there's a bunch of people who have experienced this as well. Like people who have focused on physical appearance a lot. Like it's sad to say, but it's a super easy thing to fall into. Binge eating, binging and purging, bulimia. I'm dead ass serious on not eating too far into a caloric deficit. It'll mess you up in bad ways. Sex drive, all these things, motivation. So when it comes to a deficit, you're trying to lose fat, 300 to 500 calories. You don't want to be any more than like 500 calories in a deficit. I think if you are very obese and you haven't trained ever, weight trained, you can probably be in a deeper deficit technically, and that's fine. But for the vast majority of people, you don't want to go too far into a deficit. Recomp or bulk/cut? I'd say if you are newer to training, more of a beginner, recomp is more so in the cards for you. I just think it's kind of a waste of time. You're driving with the e-brake on if you are getting to an advanced level and trying to recomp. So for someone who is a bit more advanced, I would say your best bet is to do the bulking phase and a cutting phase. Like have one goal that you're gung-ho on at one time, and then when it comes time to pivot and focus on the next one, focus on it then. Next question, do you drink soda? Yes, not full sugar soda, like regular soda. I'll drink diet soda. And for anyone who says diet soda is bad, good. I'm literally trying to die next year, so that's why I drink it. Next question. I'm just kidding. I just freaking hate people who hate on diet soda. How much carbs do you eat per meal for muscle growth normally? Do you think it's best carbs is the rise? Bruh. What is happening with my brain? How many carbs do I eat per meal? Let me talk about ideal ways to split up your carbs throughout the day. How about that? So I kind of alluded to it earlier when it came to me talking about how I personally like to split up nutrition, like having lower carbs earlier in the day. Of course, this is personal to me. It works for me. It's general advice, but if I'm going to just like take an avatar of a human being who lives in a silo and has nothing else to do besides gain muscle and lose fat. They don't work a job. They do nothing, no family, literally just, I exist to have high muscle mass and low body fat percentage. For that person who's just like optimizing for that at the expense of everything else, this is how I would split up carbs. I would have 40% around there of so almost half of your carbs, cats, man, around your workout. So before, pre-workout meal, and post. So you can split this up, 20% before your workout, carbohydrates for the day, 20% after your workout. And then you can have the majority after. So what's left over after that? 60% of your carbs for the day, right? You can have, I'd say, another 40% to 50% at night. Let me backtrack to the morning. Let's assume this person trains in the afternoon. The morning, lighter on carbohydrates. If they're training in the afternoon, about 10% or so of your carbohydrates for the day. Guys, this is general advice, but it's helpful to have carbohydrates. Carbs are our body's preferred source of energy, okay? We're not gonna take into extraneous things like keto and whatnot. Normal people eat carbs, okay? Carbs are super helpful for performance, so we want to have faster digesting carbohydrates around our workout. Like I said, 40% or so. And then at night, when our difficult thinking for the day is pretty much all but done, the evening is coming in, there's less photons of light, we're starting to have that melatonin rise, our hormones are shifting, we're getting ready for bedtime. Carbohydrates are actually shown to facilitate the transition to sleep better from a hormonal perspective. So it makes sense. And who likes to go to bed on an empty stomach? It's impossible for me to go to bed on an empty stomach. I need to eat. I need to be like completely satisfied. Like I definitely don't want to eat any food before I go to bed if I'm going to have like a super quality night's sleep. So majority of carbs towards the end of the day. And for sake of time, I'm not going to like switch up the workout time. Like, oh, but I train in the morning and stuff. Just for the sake of time, it's already going super long. What protein do you like to take? I like to take Core Nutritionals protein. Gave a shout out to Core earlier. Core ISO is their whey isolate hydrolyzed, mixes super well, like so well, and it's so fine, you almost don't even need to shake the freaking shaker. Core ISO, it's lactose, it's dairy based. Also Core Pro. Core Pro is a nice balanced protein of whey isolate, casein protein, and then like those are the main ones that I like to take in. I'm a pretty simple guy. Whey isolate, whey based protein, and it's low in carbs, it's low in fat, it's high in protein. I don't really do plant-based protein. I don't do a casein specific casein was it before bedtime. Casein protein being slower digesting. I did at one point. I don't anymore. But yes, Core Pro, Core ISO. How long do you take creatine? As long as you are being physically active and desire to have increased performance. Next question, does creatine cause hair loss? I initially thought that this was just like a myth. The more I read up on it, well, let me answer. I'm not 100% sure as of right now, but DHT, it is creatine, which is a compound that allows our body, when we take in creatine, it allows our body to tap into adenosine triphosphate in the muscle, ATP, which is our body's preferred source of energy during very intense activity. Creatine allows us to tap into that energy source easier. It makes it more readily available for us to use for performance. So when we are taking creatine, we're able to use that ATP better, and we can usually perform a little bit better. 10 to 20% better. That means getting 2 or 3 more reps during a set where you otherwise wouldn't be able to if you were not taking creatine. I have seen that. So basically on the hair loss thing, I've seen that there's been some talk of it being connected to a rise in something called DHT, dihydrotestosterone, which is connected to potentially hair loss. So it could be the case. Guys, do your homework on it. I'm not an expert here. I'm staying in my lane. I'm careful too. I have taken creatine basically. I'm not perfect. I miss occasionally, but literally every day for 10 years. And I'm 30 years old right now. And I think my hair has thinned a little bit since I was 20, but not really. Like I'm looking at myself in the freaking screen right now. Not noticeable to me. This can be highly genetic as well. Hair loss in general is genetic, right? Based on our heritage. I don't know much detail on it either, but you know, is it true that it's connected to your mother's father? That is what I have heard in the past, and I've kind of like stuck to that. I don't even know where I did hear that, but you know how like we like to just like assume what people tell us is the truth. So I've kind of assumed that I will have the hairline of my mother's father, who's a little Italian man. Shout out to Tom Lombardi, 87 years old. And he still got hair, and he had a full head of hair in his 60s. So I've been pretty happy about that. I don't know if it's the truth though, but if creatine causes hair loss, I will probably continue to take it because gains. Do you ever take a break from meat and try a few vegan meals? Yeah, I love plant-based meals. Honestly, they taste amazing. And if you've been on the channel for a while, you guys know that I've tried the vegan diet. I've eaten fully plant-based, not vegetarian, but vegan twice in my life, both for 3 months at a time. The first one was an absolute train wreck. I was an accounting intern, my senior year in college. It was the summer before my senior year in college. I was working an office job, and I found some Joel Fuhrman YouTube videos. Shout out to Joel Fuhrman. He's an MD, really preaches like plant-based eating. I got like super passionate, gung-ho about it. I'm like, fucking plant-based is the way. And I was just like eating cans of pinto beans out the wazoo. I was also just doing too much cardio, weight training a little bit, like 4 or 5 times a week. But it was a train wreck. Like I felt like shit. The next go around was when I first moved out to Los Angeles, which is almost 5 years ago at this point. I did it in a bit more of an intelligent way. It's just not personally sustainable for me. I know that's not even the question that you answered, but yes, like I enjoy the principles of plant-based eating. I think the American diet, especially, everyone can stand to eat a bit more plant-based. But yeah, it's not sustainable for me personally. Alrighty, personal questions. We got 4 of them. I'm going to move through these quick. I think this camera's about to freaking die. How come so many people choose to leave California, but you're deciding to stay? Curious. To keep it quick, I love LA. I just really like LA. Of course, no place is perfect. LA definitely does have drawbacks. Of course, the COVID restrictions have been a bit more intense here versus other places. I also think that's understandable considering the fact that the greater LA area has literally like 25 million people. Can we appreciate that fact? Do you know how many freaking people that is? The whole state has what, 40, 41, 42 million people? That's like, I think the stat is California has like the 6th biggest economy in the world. I'm not even sure if that's true, but I wouldn't be shocked if it is. There's so many freaking people that are in LA that it's understandable that COVID restrictions have to be the way they are. Of course, I don't agree with every freaking policy of California. I think I fall a bit right of center on most issues, but I like LA. I like the opportunity that's here. I love the weather. And yeah, I mean, traditional media just loves to feed the rest of the world all these like horror stories of what's going on in LA. But, LA is pretty great for me. I like living here, and I'm blessed to be able to work and live wherever I would like to, such as the beauty of the interwebs. But I like LA. I just like LA, man. I grew up on the East Coast, Boston, moved to West Virginia in middle school. My whole family still lives in Morgantown, West Virginia. Shout out to the Mountaineers. WVU, my alma mater, baby. But I just couldn't live in West Virginia personally. I say that to my mom all the time. She would love for me to live in West Virginia, but I just personally can't do it. I love the people in West Virginia, amazing people, nothing against them. I just, for myself, I can't live in West Virginia. I just can't do it personally. Next question, are you gay? I am not gay. A lot of people think I do. A lot of stuff I post is extremely gay when I think about it, actually. Like house music and like me half naked on Instagram in my DMs would make you think that I'm probably gay. Not like what I send, but what I receive. But I'm not gay. Please do not send me any like fucking dick pics, please. What's your most serious injury? Greetings from Mexico. Mexico. I don't have any serious injuries, as we've highlighted, thankfully. What's my ethnicity? I am half Italian, and my dad's side is Portuguese. Technically, I am half Italian, a quarter Portuguese, because my dad's father is all Portuguese. And then my dad's mother, my grandmother, is English and Scottish. So I'm like an eighth English, an eighth Scottish, a quarter Portuguese, half Italian. My mom's side is full-blown Italian, baby. Maiden name is Lombardi. Shout out to the Lombardis. Alrighty, we're done. Guys, I hope you love this. Heck, I hope you just don't hate me after this. I feel like we have to walk on eggshells these days. Actually, no. This was an awesome Q&A. I feel like this probably helped a ton of people, and I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. If you guys want more of this, I'll be happy to do it. I think this is a great momentum starter to get me back on YouTube, posting a bit more fitness content. Honestly, I've just been in such a pattern. There's no good explanation for me, unfortunately, for not being on YouTube more consistently. It's just that I've been in such a pattern of enjoying posting Instagram content that I just haven't been on YouTube. Plus, I get very into the creative process. I really like editing video and all this stuff. I've always done it. That I notice it becomes more of a time warp when I am creating a YouTube video. I can just be editing one YouTube video for a couple days, honestly, and that's a pitfall of mine. And I can't afford to do that with my time. My time is my constraint, as with most entrepreneurs. So, I can be more consistent on YouTube if I start to get editing help, which I do have now, fortunately. And I just keep that, what I just said, top of mind. Hey, chill on the intricacy of our YouTube video. All right. Without rambling too much, as I've done this whole freaking video. See you guys soon. Much love. Peace.